Okay. So first of all, just let me say to chat, you guys remember how I got 4 out of 4 NMG world records and how cool that is? Well, this other guy here on the other side has done that at least like 3 times. So, Zoast is the GOAT, just for the record, if anybody doesn't know
Nah,
that
we don't
already.
we don't we don't we don't have to do goat
It's
debate. That's
true. It's
it's
true.
not
You're
not
my
it's
GOAT.
not.
You're my GOAT. All
Yeah,
right.
see, there it is. That's I accept statements such as that
Right.
personally.
So
That's
that
what
being
that's what it
said,
always means to me.
yeah. That being said, thank you so much for being willing to do this, man. Um, it
You're welcome, of
it really
course.
means a lot, and I'm really really excited to do this. So, are you cool with starting with low ice, or would you rather watch another run first?
It's whatever.
Okay,
That's low ice. It doesn't matter.
yeah. So for okay, trying to think. Like, I didn't script this or like even type out like an agenda or anything with this, but like, um, I know that for me, like in my experience pursuing this, like there was definitely, even if it wasn't necessarily like a real like time limit, there definitely felt like there was a time limit on the possibility of me being able to like secure it, if that makes sense. Cuz like other categories are, always a moving target in one way or another.
Yeah.
Um so like that
You
was
got you got
definitely
Drewski you got Drewski and Behemoth playing 90% right now for this
right.
one just one, and you got Oates playing low percent ice at the same time as you.
You're right, right. And
So, I mean,
Y
yeah.
it was definitely really stressful, especially because, I mean, not that I don't think I could beat my any percent run because I do, even though it's really, 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 really good. But beating that would be harder than I think anything else. So, that was definitely, putting some pressure on me where I'm like, man, if I don't get this low ice run before, Drewski or somebody takes any percent, like it's gonna be way harder. So anyway, that
Yeah,
being
for
said,
sure. You're really right on about that. Like, it would be tough to take those back,
yeah. Um,
at least quickly, like
for sure. So so yeah, I mean, all that being said, like, what was it like for you when you were doing your grind? So I know that your initial like leaderboard domination or whatever you want to call it. The first couple times you
Yeah.
did that was like 2013, 2015, like that kind of time, right?
I think, yeah, it got broken up because I think, half of them were broken up by Cop Power. He was one of the few that played all the categories at a high level.
He kept crashing your
And
party.
yeah, but it was fun. Like, you want that, you, especially back then, because I feel like even though there's still a lot of like changes to the game, like you look at this size, this one's not supposed to be playing yet, is it?
No, I can start
Okay,
it though if you want.
um,
I just figured we could talk about it a little bit first.
it's whatever you think, but yeah, I mean, low percent ice is still changing a lot. Y'all are coming up with some really cool stuff for that still to this day. Um, but back then, it's probably, I would say it has to be more so that things change quickly, because some of these, like, not low percent ice necessarily, but some of the other categories like RBO, especially RBO, as far as these four, uh, was changing like wildly. The like route changes quickly. Like every run was almost a route change in RBO for a little bit.
Right.
So, yeah, it
Yeah,
was a little
well,
different.
and I
But
mean the game itself was just less optimized back then. Not I mean, what am I trying to say?
well, there was a lot of people playing any percent, and there was like at least three people that I can think of, maybe four, that were playing 100% at a pretty high level, at least for the time. And we were always finding stuff back then,
Right. There was just
rediscovering stuff and discovering stuff, just
right,
like
there was so much
like
room for finding new things. Not that there isn't still a lot of room for the game to improve, because there definitely is, but like You know,
Yeah.
a strat that saves like 1 to 2 seconds today in like any percent, that's like huge. That's like OMG,
Huh.
like I have to pick up this 2-second time save. Where, you know, back then, I mean, route changes and stuff, like you're probably finding larger
Well, there
time
wasn't
saves more consistently, I would think. But
there wasn't that many route changes in any percent, I would say. Like there was like the dropping, kind of the dropping stuff was a big change,
yeah,
and then obviously PRKD was a huge thing, and those were the two biggest ones, really. I mean, um,
and then
I guess
Moonfall.
there was variations to get. I guess there were like some pretty significant time saves, I suppose, routing wise to streamline KPDR.
Yeah,
Getting it down to zero pause and so forth. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it was also small stuff, but it was coming probably at a greater pace. Exploring all the door fixes. Once you like think of one door fix and it's kind of unexplored, there's going to be a million others to find. So just
that's
stuff like that. Not
something. Yeah, that is something that I often forget is that, like, I don't remember who said it. A few years ago, somebody mentioned the Dorfix revolution. I
yeah,
was
it's kind of
I
funny.
was
Like
like "Oh, yeah, like, that used to be something that people didn't really consider that much," like, 'cause
yeah.
it makes such a huge difference.
Well,
So,
you got to think of the history where it was like only a year, a couple of years, maybe a year or two removed from doing game time strats. So
right, right.
everybody's like got this way of playing, and I mean, obviously new people will come in and bring some fresh things.
Yeah.
But even I was watching like old Hoda runs sometimes. I mean, obviously there was SRL or yeah, Speedruns Live and that community, which I learned a lot from. But I was also watching old runs too, so I guess I was kind of in the middle of that. Like I came in when real time was already the thing, but it was still kind of new.
Right. Speaking of Hoda Ruby, shout outs to him, by the way. We would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge he did the leaderboard sweep before any of us. Before either of us, I guess I should say. Back then, there were less categories, but he definitely, he had any
Oh,
percent and
well,
100% and
his yeah, and it lasted for like 4 or 5 years,
right,
so
exactly.
that's super strong. Like I haven't been able to and none of mine are more than like 30 days or something.
Oh, none of your leaderboard sweeps. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, like there was like maybe 90 at most 100 days maybe during
Right.
each of those years,
And
but they
then
kept getting broken up by other people, being
right.
one of them.
You would have had
And
it
it
for a
was
lot longer if I hadn't ruined your party in 2021.
well, if I thought it, like I didn't really, I don't think I was super conscious of it back then. I probably was to some extent, that I was doing well on leaderboards, obviously, but I wasn't like immediately, let's play this other category if Cop
Right.
Power beats it or something. Like it wasn't really like that. And there was so much stuff to learn and do that I don't know. It's more fun just to kind of explore what you were doing a lot of times, just like it is today.
For sure.
Maybe differently, but it's similarly, I'd say.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, the unfortunate thing is that the more that you do it, the less you're able to, but definitely one of my favorite things about running a new category is strat finding. Or, thinking about routing optimization and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, for sure.
I can be really hard headed about trying not to look at anything new when I pick up a new category. I'm like, if I look at, I don't know, this could be just complete hogwash, but I think to myself, if I look at it with a completely set of fresh eyes and I don't have anybody's ideas in my head, maybe I can think of something fresh for the category. And then
Right.
I figure after that takes a couple of weeks or however long, kind of start looking at a lot at what other people do to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is better, or
Yeah, I've definitely I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm that way necessarily because I typically just copy you to start. But for
I'm
sure,
not
like
always that way, but that's kind of a more of a like last I don't know 3 or 4 years maybe I don't know.
I have
I can't really
definitely.
remember. I can't really remember exactly how I approached runs 10 years ago, to be honest.
Yeah. I have definitely found that if I focus on doing what I want to do first, and then once I'm a little bit more comfortable with the category, looking at what other people are doing, that seems to be a better approach for me. But that's just me. So anyway,
It's not. I don't really have any hard and fast rules, but um, I tend to do that sometimes recently.
yeah. Um yeah, so you did the sweeps back in the earlier days, and then the most recent time that you did it was 2021. And the way that I remember this is you were running RBO and I was at the end of my hundo grind that year, and you broke my RBO run, which I was super happy about, by the way, because I've been waiting for that for a long time. And I want to say it was pretty shortly after that that I took hundo, and then we were both running RBO together after that. Um, so keeping that in mind, like I know that that was a big deal to you because I remember us having conversations about it and how you were hoping that you could do that. Um,
Yeah, I was more conscious of it at some point.
right.
That way.
So, first of all, let me apologize if I was stressing you out with my hundo grind, because
Uh,
but
I don't recall ever being stressed out by it.
that's good.
I could have. I could be wrong. Stressed
Um,
out.
but yeah, so once you achieved that, um, do you recall any sort of like thinking about what else you wanted to do, or if you wanted to do anything else or anything like that?
Oh God, and 4 years ago,
It's too
4 years
long.
ago,
Been too long.
4 years ago is almost in that 10-year category that I was
Right.
just talking about. For SM, I can't remember what my no, I can't remember what my feeling was about the game or anything like that.
Okay. That's cool.
I
Yeah.
think I was just enjoying the moment. Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think I was really
Well, and that's
planning
fair.
anything.
And I mean, you'd been doing such hard grinds for so long, back to back to back. It kind of makes sense that you would be in a place of like, I'm going to chill for a while after that. So,
Well, at some point, my hand got wrist. I had really
yeah, you had
a
your
a hard
injury.
time with my wrist for like a year. It was pretty. I had to take it pretty slow
Yeah.
for it, or I felt like I did because I got to a point where it was pretty bad.
How's that
But
doing, by
luckily,
the way?
no, it seems to be doing better.
Good.
I don't have any concerning pains. I haven't in a long time. I play guitar and everything. I can even play piano and guitar, and it doesn't hurt my hand. That's big because for like a couple of years almost, or maybe at least a year or two, it was hard to do that without worrying about it.
Yeah. And that's good, especially because I know how important music is to you. So I'm glad.
Well, I mean, being able to use your hands. I mean, not that you can't have a life without doing that, but that's something you don't want to lose, obviously.
For sure. For sure. Okay, well, we can start this run. I'm sure you've never seen the beginning of a Super Metroid run before, so we can just start at the beginning.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So wait, there we go. Okay. Um, so yeah, I was obviously, beginning of every Super Metroid run is pretty straightforward, except for RBO, which we can talk about when we get there. But earlier you're mentioning um, low ice is still kind of in that stage where new strats are being found, and um, ways to go faster, ways to be more consistent, or whatever are being found.
Yeah, it's not really. It's and they're bigger kind of time shaves. I mean,
Right.
not that they're not massive as they used to be for some of the stuff we're going to compare to, but they're bigger than like what any percent would be typically finding these days.
For sure. Um, so yeah, I mean, keeping that in mind, like there's probably going to be quite a few quite a few things here that, you know, we can talk about, things that maybe have changed since you ran it, or you know, other things. There's probably also, you know, going to be much more notable like time losses. I will say just straight up, this is by far like the least optimized run that I have out of the 4. So it's kind of nice to
Okay.
get it out of the way, to just, you know, be like, here's the trash, you know, but like,
No, this is far from being trash, dude.
it's a good run. It is. You know, I'm happy with it, but I'm, you know, obviously nowhere near as happy with it as I am with any percent or 100%, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um,
Oh, it's just big. Low percent ice is serious category for sure.
oh, for sure. People keep asking me if I'm going to do low speed, and I'm like, no. Why would you want me to torture myself?
This was well, back in the day, just talk about the old days. This was probably I would say the hardest of Hoda Rubies to beat
Oh
back
yeah?
in the day. It was the last one that was beat, and I think it was the hardest because if you think about it, there's not so much opportunity to save time for in-game time by pausing and stuff like that.
Right.
So his run was, I mean, it's still like really weak compared to a modern run, but yeah, there was less obvious ways to save time, just strategically, just switching over into real time.
Yeah, that makes sense. When did
Especially
you
Hundo.
when did you first run this category? Do you remember?
It had to be 2013. I started, well, unless I don't remember doing it. I doubt I did any. So I probably started with any and Hundo. I started with any, and then I think probably Hundo after.
So any percent,
I wanna
and then Hundo for a while, then any percent for a while, and
And in 2013, I branched out into pretty much everything that was available.
right. Nice mock ball there, by the way.
Kind of at the same time, it was wild. Like I remember like doing multiple categories a day in PB. Of course, I mean I was still pretty. I had only been playing for 3/4 of a year.
Right. Good old days where you could just PB twice in a day and it's not even a big deal. Not that
Well,
can't
some of the
still happen
categories,
in
yeah.
some categories, yeah. But
Some of that was just I was learning other categories while I was still working on the one, you know, like
for
Hundo
sure.
or whatever. Maybe something like that. At least as I recollect.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how do you manage playing more than one category at the same time? Because that just breaks my brain.
I don't do it anymore. I don't really do it anymore.
Yeah, I was never good at that.
I think they have to be, you know, they'd have to be different.
Yeah,
Preferably not too long. I don't know.
makes sense.
Still, yeah, it's really not ideal. But if you want to, I mean, if you want to learn everything at once, I don't think it's bad at first, especially. If you're putting a ton of time into it, then it may be more efficient to start focusing on one.
Yeah. So, okay, I wasn't around in the old days of this specific category. I've been watching Super Metroid speedruns for a long time, but first of all, I wasn't really interested in stuff like low percent for a long time. And second of all, when I was first watching, it was just, I think, any percent and 100%. And then I didn't really watch much at all for a few years. And then when I came back, there were like all these other categories. So keeping that in mind, when I want to say this was mentioned in GDQ at one point, when PRKD dropped for any percent, did that also drastically change this category's routing, or like, do you remember that?
I don't think so. I think this was always Fantoon first. Was it not?
I don't remember. That's why I'm asking you. And it's okay if you don't remember either.
Well, I don't want to put a little bit of a question mark on that, but I don't think it was anything other than.
Tex is saying no, this wasn't. So it wasn't Fantoon first. Is that what you're saying, Tex? Because if that's the case, it would actually drastically change this category, I think. Fantoon first.
Yeah. I know Speed Booster, low percent speed, was a crate first for a little while.
But that
JD was the first one to do the Fantoon first.
Right. Okay.
I thought this was always bomb jumps, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Wiki doesn't say any crate first. Okay. So I guess yeah, this was probably always Fantoon first. Wonder what I'm thinking of.
We could look up one of my first runs or something.
Yeah.
See if I did Fantoon first. Or even Hoder's run. That'd probably be the one to look at. How easily it is to find his run.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I honestly, I really want to go back and see what like more obscure Hoder runs I can find. Just because like the way that he plays the game is just so cool.
I'd recommend the Cliffhanger run. It's a ROM hack, but it's kind of a wild run.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. So
I was lucky to catch him when he was streaming that, and I was always kind of blown away by how kind of the tech in that run. It's really cool. I think Hoda was involved with, I don't know, I think he had some sort of tasks as well at some point.
I know he's done some. I just don't know exactly all of what he's done. I remember watching him do some tasks for, what was it? It was a ROM hack of some sort. And I think I also saw him doing some test stuff in Link to the Past at one point, which is pretty cool. But
he works on a lot of things.
All right, so we're going to Fantoon. And the thing that sucks about Fantoon in this category is you only have 10 missiles to work with. So 2-round isn't even guaranteed, really. Like even if you play perfectly, like a lot of the time you're just not going to get the missiles that you need. But yeah, any thoughts on that, Zoast? About like Fantoon in this category specifically?
Kind of wish we could one-round them.
It'd be nice. Just do the Drewski Super, man. Just do the Drewski Super.
There you go.
Yeah, this definitely... So something interesting, actually, that came up when I started running this category. More than one person said to me, like, you might have trouble with the bosses. And what's so funny to me about that is, as long as I've been a speedrunner, I've actually been more interested in challenge runs for like even longer. And so I wasn't ever really worried about optimizing the boss fights in this category.
Yeah.
But they are a big deal.
Definitely. Sure.
Go ahead.
I can see you doing well just judging by how optimized your Mother Brain and Hundo got to be and how early, like you figured that out pretty quick.
Right. So
as judged by our race where you saved like 20 seconds on me there and took the lead. Commanding lead. I remember
in the multi-category.
Multi-category.
Yeah. A lot of that was stand-up.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this was a fast. So let me just say, right out the gate here, this fast really carried my run, like in a big way.
Yeah.
I think Oat's record before this was a 3-round Fantoon even. I don't remember for sure, but So
That's killer, dude.
yeah,
3 round.
yeah. So yeah, keeping that in mind, like again, I would never call this run a bad run, right? But
Yeah.
it definitely got the right luck in the right places to be what it is. And I just managed to not make too many mistakes in between. So
Yeah. It seems like I think y'all cut out some of the luck before Ridley. That was one of the places that really got me in my run.
yeah, a little
Run
bit.
before y'all. Yeah.
Like the farming there has been optimized a little bit. And also the
It's probably the worst room in the game as much as anything. I
yeah.
can't remember.
Lower Norfair, I would say, just in general, a lot has changed in this run. Starting from entering Lower Norfair all the way until leaving it, to be honest. Like, there's just been a lot of, like, little and big optimizations.
It's cool stuff. I love it.
Yeah. Going through rooms faster, or farming more efficiently, or, you know, manipulating Ridley more efficiently, like whatever. Like there's been a lot of advancements there. So there will be a lot to talk about at that point in the run.
Is that worst room? Is that the stream strat?
Yes.
Or is that,
yeah.
is that where that came from?
The worst room in the game, bomb jump, is a Stream strat. It is.
It's like speed previously already, hadn't it?
He initially did it for low speed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And you
is there anything else? I guess there wouldn't be too much else that would come from that run.
You did you did commentary for one of Sue Stream's low speed runs, right?
Yeah. No, it's an awesome run. Like his speed run is really.
So Jack Valentine is asking, are those spikes not deboostable? They are, and actually we do little deboost there. The thing is, if you do a full deboost, you're actually not going to get enough run speed during your iframes to survive. So you have to do kind of a little deboost instead, and then take advantage of the iframes so you don't take more damage in the spikes and die, which it used to happen to me a lot. So
I haven't found everything, but y'all found a lot of really cool stuff lately. I really love it to see it.
I would say thank you, but I didn't really find anything. It was mostly honestly, shout outs to Eddie. Eddie found a bunch of stuff in this category in like 2 or 3 weeks. He's like, why don't you guys do this? Why don't you guys do that? One of those strats is actually coming up here. So if we hold a charge into this room, and then you do a jump, and then you just release the charge, it'll kill that Zila, and you can get a drop there. That is way more helpful than it would look like casually. The reason I didn't do a moonfall there is because I deboosted too close to the door. So I knew that it wouldn't, like, my shot wouldn't automatically break the block, and I just suck at adjusting there, so I just didn't even try.
It's awkward to recover that one, yeah.
Like, you try to adjust, and then you miss a moonfall, and then you bonk the Ripper, and yeah, it's just bad, so.
I got a shout out Overfeed and 2K. They were, I guess, cop power, but there's a lot of back when this was back when I have maybe some of my fondest memories. I mean, I have a lot of different eras of fond memory, obviously, but
yeah, Overfiend was definitely goated in this category. Okay, I'm trying to think about what's coming up here. So we're not there yet, but in pre-cathedral, I go for the aggressive version of the bomb jump. I think I get it. I don't remember for sure. And funny enough, the reason that I like insist on doing that bomb jump is because I had to do it for Crocomire RTA way back in the day. In like 2019. Because if you don't do it in that category, if you don't do it in that category, you just die. And so I was like, I had to do it back then, and I did. So I'm just gonna keep doing it now. No, that's stubborn Zeni coming out. To be honest, like I really should have been more open to doing this lower strat. And I eventually did start like learning how to back it up correctly, but.
Is it standard to grab that drop?
It depends on your resources. It's something that Oates was doing. Okay, let's see if I... Yeah, no, I... Oh, yeah, okay. So...
That's way tougher than it looks.
It really is. It looks not bad. The bombs have to be placed in a very specific spot for that to work. It's really stupid. But yeah, so this whole last segment of the run has been all about resource optimization. And prior to the new worst room in the game strat, you would have to make sure that you had enough missiles in addition to enough energy and supers and everything else. So that's one of the biggest benefits to the new worst room in the game strat, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But this farm is really cool. I like that farm. And then we actually do a boost into Lava Dive here. This is a Stachio strat, which I actually really freaking love because it reminds me of Stachio Skip, like Baby Skip. So yeah, that's a couple seconds right there. Saved over older strats. It's like a KPDR style chronic boost.
How hard was it to learn this?
To learn what?
The bomb jumping and worst room in the game.
I didn't feel confident with it for a couple weeks, but I was able to do it pretty consistently after just like a day or two. It's one of those things where the smallest thing can change and break it without you realizing what even changed. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but it's really beneficial because it saves missiles and it's faster. So I don't really know how to explain it other than that you have to move Samus in a very specific way in addition to placing the bombs in a very specific way in order to make this work. And if you do it correctly, then it saves 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Like it's pretty substantial. So
Which ammo does it save from the previous strat? Do you know?
Sorry, what?
How much ammo does that save from the previous strat?
So AMH's strat used 4 missiles. So it's I mean, that could be 1 farm, it could be 2 farms. Like it really just depends. It's kind of an aggressive jump right there, which I like.
And can you jump all the way over?
You can, yes.
Yeah.
But it's way harder, and I stopped trying to do it because I kept hitting the key hunter, which is bad. You do not want to hit those guys. So, Metal Pirates is coming up. So, probably the coolest thing about the Metal Pirates in this category is we figured out how to do double hits on them. So I don't remember if I actually did that correctly here, but okay, so I did not. But you can do either 1 double hit or 2 double hits. I only ever went for 1 because the two double hits ends up being a few seconds slower. So it really is kind of like a risk reward thing. I really like this farm. So use a bomb right here to blow up all 3 of those bugs. And you can also, like, there's a way to do the 3-bug farm to the left instead, but I wasn't very good at it, so. Now, this ended up being pretty bad here. I don't remember exactly what the room time was here, but it's certainly I'm losing a lot of time.
See, you copying me again. This was the worst part of my run. This farm.
Yeah.
I think I lost like 17 seconds or something pretty significant.
Sounds about right. So Eddie came up with this cool manipulation you can do. I don't remember exactly how well it goes for me, so we can look and see. But Ridley will start lunging at you right here if you do this correctly. And if he does, you can actually loop him between a lunge and like a back off and a lunge again. And okay, so he didn't really do it at all. But you can get him stuck in that all the way until he starts swooping. And if you do that, it saves a lot of time. that being said, I mean, really the rest of this fight is all about optimizing your DPS with your charge shots. The missiles and supers are very important as well, obviously, but basically you don't want to be holding a charge for any longer than you absolutely have to, because if you do, you're just bleeding time every time that you're overcharging. So
it's a BS tail whip, by the way.
Yeah, that's classic Ridley.
How do you execute that missile? You manually press
yeah,
item cancel after?
Yeah, I manually press item cancel after.
You did it again. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, the auto item deselect, I don't know, it's probably something with my grip or something, but I just sucked at it. Like, I ended up losing time most of the time when I tried to do the item deselect thing.
That's crazy. Like the auto deselect?
Yeah. Something about like trying to do it at the same time as I was trying to like morph and roll under his tail. I don't know. It just never really worked very well for me. So that's something that I'd probably try working on again if and when I ever come back to this category. But so you'll see me laying a bomb when I roll under Ridley's tail. That's actually to prevent a shot from coming out to avoid lag, so that I can start charging. I don't know if I'm going to do it again, but
that's cool.
Yeah. I end up doing something really bad here. I totally forgot. So you'll know it when you see it. At least I think it was this run. Yep.
Oh, that is some lag.
Yeah, that's really bad. Oh man.
That's some Gradius 3 lag right there.
Yep. That being said, this fight actually went pretty okay considering the mistakes. I don't remember the room time, but
so did you find that the missile was still faster? Anyway, how you were doing? How you were doing it after the roll under? Yeah.
Yep. All right. Ridley's dead. I don't remember when I stopped looking at my splits in this run, and you guys can't see them either, so whatever, but this is one of the runs where I did stop looking just because I knew that they were going to distract me if I kept looking, and I knew it was going to be close, too. I really didn't want that pressure at, like, the end of the game, so... Trying to think of what else is coming up here.
I remember one of the ones I found was the... well, just, it wasn't really, I don't know if you call it fine, doing the deboost still out of the clip here. Something about like crouching or like aiming down before taking the deboost.
Yeah.
To get over the thing. Oh, you don't do it, okay.
No, so the reason I do this way is to try and avoid all damage. Sometimes that last
fair.
hopper will just jump low and you just take it, but I kept dying. I kept dying in like Three Musketeers or whatever, because this room, just like in any percent, is just really finicky, and your strat that has been solid for a week will suddenly break. So like, yeah, I took a hit there. And Three Musketeers, I ended up going with a safer strat for the last like month or so that I was doing runs of this, and so I probably could have started doing the Deskiga boost again, but I don't know. I prefer just going through the iframes, so.
It's fair. I mean, I was thinking back in the day, it was definitely the positioning of parade. One of the things we had to figure out, like, one of the techs was getting that balloon super was really big for us, that I remember at least.
Yeah.
To make that worth it, gravity jump and click the super.
For sure, yeah. There's even more cool Meridia strats now than there used to be, and honestly, that's probably my favorite part of this run. because like, okay, my favorite thing about Super Metroid is cool movement tech, and up until, I mean, obviously there's like worst room in the game is super cool. There's a couple other little things here and there that are super cool, but this category in general, I mean, your movement items are pretty stripped down, and so there isn't as much opportunity for cool movement tech, but there is a ton of opportunity for it in Meridia, which I really like, so that's a cool strat too right there. Just the shoot up and then wall jump up. I've always kind of liked that. So now we're going to Kraid. Zoast, do you want to talk about Kraid, like why we still do him third instead of second in this category? Do you want me to talk about it, or?
You go ahead, because you're more knowledgeable at this point. I haven't really thought about this category in 4 to 5 years too deeply.
That's fine. So after this, we have to go to Botwoon, and for Botwoon, we need supers. So if you do Kraid before Ridley, you don't have a convenient super refill spot, but if you do Kraid after Ridley, you have mini Kraid. So that's the biggest reason. It doesn't save nearly as much time in this category as it does in like any percent, for example, because you don't have like speed booster, etc., etc. But again, if you don't have mini Kraid to farm, what you have to do is you actually, on your way out of Lower Norfair, you have to go up to the speed bugs and farm those instead, and it's just slower. So
I remember doing that. Yeah. Feels like that was the biggest thing we wanted to cut out. We were like, this kind of stinks having to go to these bugs.
Yeah. It is definitely slower. I don't think it's... Okay. Probably the best way to put this is, if you're racing this category, you should probably always do Kraid second, because the difference isn't big enough to be worth it. But yeah, in like a world record attempt, for example, it's definitely worth it to do the harder, more risky thing. So
that's what I love about racing in this game. You can sort of tailor your run to the race sometimes.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to enter Meridia here. Some really, really cool strats here. So first of all, we do a morph into this door because it lets us up onto this ledge without scrolling the screen up so that we can squeeze past this fish. So that's cool. And then coming up here next, we have Everest. Now, since we don't have speed booster, we can't shine spark here. So what we end up doing is a gravity jump instead. And Zoast mentioned this earlier. So we shoot this guy early so that we can collect a super missile drop during the gravity jump. That is way more important than it looks. It makes a huge difference. That wall jump's kind of cool too. And then the ice clip. The ice clip right before Botwoon, not this room, but the next room. Honestly, like as far as like just movement tech optimization, I think this ice clip is one of my favorite strats in the whole category. Like it just feels so cool to do it fast. Of course I messed that up. But Botwoon here is a jerk in this category, just like any other category. You really, really need to do one round. It's even harder to do one round in this category because you don't have X factors. And also, you really, really need him to drop you supers. I lucked out here and got 4 supers. Another thing here is we skipped earlier energy tanks so we could grab this one rather than having to go under and around it. And then typically, I messed that up. Typically, we'd want to save our power bombs for the Dragon fight, but Oates pointed out to me that you can get a bunch of supers from these bugs immediately if you use a power bomb, and that happened. So I was able to skip almost that entire farm, which is huge. That ended up being like a 10-second save for me or something. Just that farm right there.
definitely want to hear your thoughts about the current Dragon fight because I wish I could remember. It's kind of subtle some of the things you figure out to do with Dragon, or at
Right.
least I remember them being so. And I had some cool revelations about the fight right before
Yeah.
I got my final time in there, but I don't really remember exactly what it was.
So
This is a really cool fight to try to optimize. It's one of my favorite fights in this category.
for sure. Yeah. You can choose to destroy or to not destroy the turrets. A lot of people destroy just the left one. Some people destroy all of them. Basically, every missile that you use on a turret is a missile that you can't use on Dragon, so it can potentially extend the length of the fight. I tried a bunch of different, like, ammo optimization things. This opener here that just happened, that was actually an Eddy strat, so that's different than it used to be. But yeah, keeping that in mind, like, basically, you want to get as much damage as you can during the goop phases, and then just try not to die or lose a bunch of time during the swoop phases. The other thing that sucks is trying to avoid the goops because they're such a pain. And also you want to do these pseudo screws in between. But yeah, ultimately, like, this fight ended up being really tight for me. It wasn't a bad fight by any means, but it wasn't optimal either. I think there's probably like 10 seconds of time save there. This category forced me to get good at those bomb jumps. And I do them differently than anybody else, because that's what works for me, so. You also really, really, really do not want a health bomb on your way out of here, because that will screw up the drops that you need to collect on your way out of here. So I ended up not doing damage boosts on the spikes for that reason.
Which drops does it mess up?
So, well, okay, so we're gonna do a farm here, I think. And that's helpful, but like, okay, so I got a super there, but if I was health bombed, I would not have gotten that super, right? There's also, you need power bombs. I have 0 power bombs here, so I'm gonna lose some time because of that.
Get the sponges.
Yeah,
No.
they don't really come in a good way to do that, unfortunately. There's a farm right there, which is really nice, but yeah, so I have to go up and around here in Aqueduct. We lay a bomb there to kill
I like that bomb.
Yeah, it reduces lag when you have a power bomb, but we don't, so.
Oh, you're going up.
I have to, because I don't have a power bomb. So.
Yeah, I remember farming the sponges there, like going through the tunnel and then stopping and doing an aim up missile.
Oh yeah,
Some
that's a good idea
bomb.
actually. The going through the tunnel ended up being a little slower, which was very surprising to me.
Yeah,
So there's a double farm here, which is really nice.
that's cool.
Yeah, so initially when I was running this, I was doing like the YOLO gravity jump, but when I timed it out, the supers ended up being more worth it. So that's why we do that. That second gravity jump there is really hard. It's really tight window. I did have 2 power bombs here, so I was able to do a quick farm on these bugs and then just go. That was a big thing too. And again, like if I hadn't been doing the earlier farms, I couldn't have done that. So.
Yeah, Skittles.
Yeah, we're watching this and then probably take like a little break and then we'll do RBO. That'll probably be it for tonight. So having a power bomb there is really important because if you don't, you have to go up and around. And that's really slow. You've never seen an RBO run? You're in for a treat.
Oh, that's crazy.
There's a really cool farm here, but I'm pretty sure I mess it up. Yep. So you can missile that waiver and then unmorph Kago that Gamer and then farm both of those other waivers. I just totally screwed it up. So
I remember spending a lot of time in that room trying to figure out a way to. Went through like 3 or 4 different strats
Yeah.
that are now obsolete. Trying to figure out a way to do that cleanly with ice.
Yep. So drops are both more and less stressful in this category compared to any percent, because you need to be full, just like in any percent. But also because you have less missiles, it's easier to be full on your missiles and energy. So like it's kind of a weird trade-off like that. But the supers can totally still screw you over here. And that happened to me at least once during the runs that I was doing.
Yeah, there's no way to avoid, like, I mean, you have to lose all that health to have that aggressive of a Dragon fight, because Pseudo Screw is just too good.
Yeah.
Throw in with everything else.
Yep.
And, you know, obviously you can't just, like, dilly-dally in already without losing time and trying to farm.
One cool thing about this category is that grouping the Metroids doesn't really lose you time. Just because of the movement options that you have in the first place. So I got a bunch of supers there, which was nice. So I'm already like feeling pretty comfortable with my drops here. Energy is a little dicey here, and I kind of panicked. I didn't mean to get grabbed by that dude. So I was like really scared here.
It's pretty good though at this point.
Yeah, well, if I use missiles, I won't be full on energy, and if I use the super, I might not get it back. So I think, okay, so I did. I used a super. I just had to kind of pray.
I would have totally used a super there too.
Yeah.
I can understand the fear though.
Yeah, it worked out. So this is new since you were running the category, baby skip. So a big part of the baby skip is because of Stachio skip. The only thing I'm really going to say is I never got this fully comfortable and consistent. This just happened to be what was working at the time. The baby is really finicky with this strat, but it worked out, so there you have it. So that saves not as much time as it looks like. I want to say it's like 15 seconds. It's like 10 or 15 seconds. We have to open this door and then go back for a refill anyway. And because of that, avoiding the baby health drain doesn't save as much time as it would otherwise.
It's mostly just the actual room.
Right.
So not having to see the cutscene.
Yeah, that and the extra refill little thing, but that's not a huge deal. It's like 1 or 2 seconds.
Oh, the actual health.
Yeah, the health
Grab,
refill itself.
Yeah.
Okay, let me think about Mother Brain. I don't know if anything has really changed in the Mother Brain fight since you did this category, but this fight is pretty entertaining, so I'll just let it speak for itself, I guess. Also, Zeb skip in this category sucks. Sometimes it just wouldn't work. It's getting really annoyed.
Oh god. Sounds like Zeb skip.
Yeah.
Well, I do miss the pause and then double refill. Pause, you know.
Right.
But
Isn't that slower RTA, though? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it's slightly faster RTA.
I do really like the ice shields in this fight. I think they're...
Oh yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, they're a nice touch. So I got some...
Yeah, you can
weird patterns in this fight.
lose so much time in this fight.
Yeah, and that's another thing is you have to be really conscious of not just releasing your charge shots as soon as they're ready, but also repressing the button so that you start your next charge really fast. And if you're not doing that optimally, like let's say that you're like 5 frames late on every shot, it's what, like 200 shots? So, 5 frames times 200. Like it just adds up really fast. So
I remember at first we used to do things like hide under her and jump over the bones to the right.
yeah.
Just like wildly inefficient as far as the idea of continuing to pelt her with the cannons.
But just trying to survive, right? Because
There was a little bit more tuned to her like, let's just get through this.
Right. For sure.
Because it was just more difficult. I hadn't been playing for. When I first played it, I'd only.
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit.
Oh, saying when I first played this category, I'd only been playing the game for like 9 months. So.
Yep. Baby Zoast. Baby Zoast is a grandpa now. Okay, so I think we're getting to the part of the fight where things get a little dicey here. I don't remember exactly. We should be close to catch up. And at that point, like I said, like I'll just let it speak for itself because it gets kind of weird. I feel like
one thing we're gonna
take a hit somewhere too.
running this at GDQ is an experience.
Oh, I bet. Especially your run from 2016 is, yeah, I don't know how you did that. Like, okay, so that catch up was kind of, a little close. Like, I had it under control, but
any of the times running this category is an experience. Trying to do it live.
So you want to do an ice shield after a meatball. So I'm like waiting for a meatball, and the mother brain's like, I'm gonna do onion rings instead. So I'm like, come on, like please, right? I know like there's a chance that I'm on world record pace, but I wasn't looking at my splits. Then I do an undercharge. So I'm like starting to like, the wheels are like shaking, like about to come off, right? See the meatball, go for the ice shield. You can do a double ice shield here, but you have to be kind of careful with how you do it. So we do that, but then Mother Brain does the head.
Oh my god. Wow.
So I'm really lucky that I read that pattern correctly because
I think she threw her arm out.
It was so scary, man. So yeah. I'm glad that made it into my run. Because it's one of those things that I can just go back and look and be like, that happened, so.
I mean, that happens fairly often in low percent. It feels like there's always, not always, but there's like more often some crazy dodge.
Right.
And that fight, because it just goes on for so long. So she's kind of just more likely to do some crazy stuff that almost does you off guard. And you have to react.
That actually reminds me, for the Super Metroid 25th anniversary, GDQ put on an event where a bunch of people from the community ran a bunch of different things. And Kip did a low ice run, and I remember he had some of the coolest jukes during the Mother Brain fight. Like, it makes me want to go back and watch, because, like, I remember watching that and just being so impressed at how good Kip was at dodging attacks, like, in the weirdest way. Like, Mother Brain would give, like, a super weird pattern, and he would just handle it. Like, it was so cool.
Kip put a lot of work in like this category.
Yeah,
too.
he really did.
That was one of his best categories, for sure.
Yeah, big shout outs to Kip. I miss that guy. Hope he's doing good. All right, so this fight sucks. Mother Brain 3. Just like doing it sucks. I don't remember exactly how it went in this run, but I think it was, stupid at one point, because it almost always is. Mother Brain can like stick her head back and just like get it stuck back there, and you just miss like 3 shots. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
yeah, I hate that.
So that was annoying. And then the other thing is escape in this category is also really hard because you have to do a lot more movement optimization and wall jump optimization than in any other category that has speed booster. So I was actually really, really nervous that I was gonna like wall jump more, or something.
I feel you. I lost a good like 5 seconds in my escape.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh my god, this is a run, and then I got nervous as well.
Yeah. There's some Zoden pumping here, which is, you know, pretty cool because you're not going to see that during the escape in pretty much any other category. But yeah, like I've lost so many runs to wall jumps in Leodoc's room. I was pretty nervous here. Again, because like I didn't even know if I was on world record pace, but I knew there was a chance.
Yeah.
So and
Talking
then
about kib, I'm suddenly hungry for some Waffle House now.
oh, dude. Now I want Waffle House. Why'd you do that to me? Do you have Waffle House where you live?
Oh god, yeah.
See, I don't. Lucky you. I can't even go to Waffle House even if I want to.
I'm sure there's some good dining.
We have some good stuff, but anyway, yeah. So you know, that's the low ice run. I'm happy with it. You know, it's like I said, definitely my least optimized run, but record's a record, dude. So good stuff.
To me, this is like, to me, this is the third most important record in the game.
How dare you?
I always think back. Well, because I always remember Hoda having those threes.
Right.
It was like the third one, really, that was available, I guess.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna stretch my legs for a minute.
Alrighty.
So I'll BRB and you can BRB if you want, and then we'll do RB after that. So
How long?
probably like 3 to 5 minutes.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm gonna stretch my legs too.
Cool. We'll be right back.